This is just a short clip to teach you the basics of how to get started with Open Inventory Lab Journal. First, we'll go ahead and log in. Just instead of clicking Inventory, we'll click Lab Journal. This will open up the Lab Journal page. Now don't worry if you accidentally clicked Inventory out of habit, you can just change the Lab Journal at the top of the page. And that will bring you to the same place. So you won't have anything on the screen because you don't have any notebooks set up, presumably. So what you can do is go down here to Lab Journals, and you'll be able to see all of the journals that anybody has ever done on our database. So at the top, you can see the notebook with a little plus sign. We'll hit the plus sign to add a new notebook, and this will be your first e-notebook on Open Inventory. So the user, you're obviously going to want to select yourself, unless you're making this notebook for someone else. Under code, we can just put whatever you want to call this notebook. I generally like to have it coincide with my normal laboratory notebook that I actually hard copy. And so I already have this made, so I'm not going to actually make one, but just to show you the copy target, that's fine, that's standard. First entry, so what this value is going to be is what the first entry in the notebook you're going to start on is. Let's say you're working on page 204 of your normal notebook. Go ahead and change this value to 204, and then I would click on the checkbox for start and fill from the first entry, and this will go ahead and fill all of the ones before 204 with a blank entry because you've already done them. And you'll just have to go in and add them if you want to add back old reactions. Otherwise, this is all set. So then you'll go ahead and click the green check to add the data set or the new notebook. Since I've already had mine, I'm just going to hit the back button, which is right next to the check mark. Okay, and so now you should see your new notebook. Yours will not show the other notebooks at this point, but you should see a brand new notebook that you just made. And so now we want to go ahead and add in an entry into this notebook. So the easiest way from the screen to do this is click on this A to 204, and this will be the reactions or setting up the notebook pages in this notebook. So this will bring up the table of contents of reactions, and so since we did the fill from 1 to the current notebook page, the first entries will be empty. So we're just going to go ahead and set up a dummy reaction just to show you how this process works. And so to do that, we can just click on a single entry like you would in the inventory side of things. Or you can click on reaction setup at the top left, and that will also bring up the reaction page. So just a general look at the top here, you can see that we're on page 1 of 204. If we want to quickly change to 204, we can just change that value to 204 and take us to the reaction 204. But we're going to set up the dummy reaction in reaction 1. And so to do this, we'll just go ahead and click in this box, and that will open up the edit page. Alternatively, at the top left, you can click on the little pencil, and that's also an edit mode. Okay, to get familiarized with what this looks like, this is a general reaction setup. We have solvent at the bottom, temperature, time, things you might want to add to your reaction. This box here is to edit and add in your chem draw of your reactants and products, and it will automatically get in the molecular weight and everything else of the structure. At the top here we have the project. Some of you have multiple projects, so you'll be able to select which project this reaction is for. And this is just nice because it allows you to easily search for reactions within your notebook for a specific project. And so I have ramaswarlide here because that's the project that I'm working on. Next, we can go ahead and add in a title. And so this just makes, again, easier to search what you're looking for in your notebook. If you just give a general title, you can just look for like TBS protection and you'll find that. And so the example reaction I'm going to show here is just a simple TBS protection. And so that's what we're going to call this, TBS protection. Obviously, this reaction is being carried out by me, so the carried out is going to be by me. And then the date of reaction start will update when we click on the button down here. So you can see these buttons at the bottom. The one all the way on the left is that we're planning the reaction. The little round bottom is that we've started the reaction. The test tubes are that we've worked up the reaction and purified it. And then the signing is for companies that like to have their boss sign off on the reaction. So now to set up our first reaction, we'll go ahead and click in that box, and it'll bring up this ChemDraw-like program that you can utilize to draw your reactants. Now, it is possible for you to upload a mol file if you desire, but I'm just going to draw it here. There are options for different drawing tools within Open Inventory, even a ChemDraw one. Unfortunately, we cannot get the ChemDraw plugin currently from Cambridge Soft. I contacted their support. If we can get that, that would be really nice because we can just basically use ChemDraw inside Open Inventory and use the program that we know and love. So now that we have our structures in here, we can just go ahead and click OK. And that will bring in that information directly into the Open Inventory notebook. And you can see that it's added the structure to our notebook along with the structure's molecular weight. And now we generally use equivalents to track how much of each reagent we need. Since this is our limiting reagent, we'll put in 1. And make sure you check that box so that we know that we're basing all of our calculations on the equivalents. Let's say we're doing this reaction with 100 milligrams. And so now that's setting our reference amount as 1.02 millimoles, which equates to 100 milligrams of this cyclopentanone starting material. So we'll go ahead and add in our solvent. Let's just say we're going to use 100 mils of solvent. And that kind of concludes adding our reactants. And so now let's say we want to add a reagent into our reaction. We can click on that little bar, and that will nicely bring us over to our Open Inventory page. I'll find TBS chloride by adding in the CAS number. And once I found the reagent that I want to use, I can click on the green select button at the right to pull it over into our notebook. Now you can use any way normal to search for compounds, but obviously CAS number is going to be the easiest way to find exactly what you're looking for. So you can see this brought in all the information about the chemical, including the size of the bottle, the supplier, and the barcode which is there, which is really nice because you can track how much of the chemical is being used in the system, and therefore it'll subtract that off of the total container amount. And so that can keep track in the inventory of how much is left. You can also see that this brought in the molecular weight as well, and the purity, which will be used to calculate the amount needed. So here we want 1.1 equivalents. We'll add that in here, and you can see it automatically populated the other fields. And we know that we need 171 milligrams of TBS chloride for this reaction. So now we'll just do this for the rest of our reagents, and I'm going to fast forward through here so that you don't have to sit through and hear me ramble on about it. But here's just 2 more examples of adding in more reagents. And there you have it. We've added all of our reagents into the reaction. And we've added their equivalents and auto-populated. Since triethylamine has the density, we've calculated the amount in milliliters that we will need of triethylamine. And then at the bottom, we can see where there's procedure and observation. You can just type in here to add in your procedure. You can do italics, bold, underlining, anything you want to do. There's also another section for observations, but I prefer personally to just add my observations with the procedure where I did it. And so I'll just put it in italicized text to distinguish it from the regular text. And so you can see the product at the bottom that we drew in here along with the molecular weight. And so we just add in, obviously, for this reaction, we would expect to get 1 equivalent of product. And we can see that the theoretical millimoles is the same up top as our reference millimoles. And if we just say, let's get 150 milligrams of product, it will calculate our yield as about 70%. So that's what you'd expect. So if you're not clicked on the results tab at the top here, if you're instead clicked on reaction setup, it will not show that. Once you're done, make sure you click the green check at the top, otherwise it won't save. Let's say you want to copy and paste this reaction. There's 2 ways to do that. You can just click that copy. That will copy the ChemDraw. If you go up to the top and click the copy reaction button, it will actually copy the reaction and reagents. So you can select the target journal or your notebook, and here you'll probably only have 1, but I have a couple in here, so I want to select this notebook as the copy notebook. Again, this is carried out by me, so we'll leave it as that, and then we'll just click the little clipboard over here, and it'll copy that over into a new reaction, and you can see that it actually opened a new reaction page. So before we'd only been up to 204. Now it added reaction 205, and it copied and pasted all of that information directly into there. So now we just need to update our amounts. And we'll be able to run this reaction again without much work in setting up the journal entry. Alternatively, if your goal is to go ahead and set up a brand new reaction that you've never run before, just click on the Add New Reaction button right next to the Copy Reaction button. This will open up a brand new reaction page in the next available page in your notebook that you can just fill out just like we filled out the reaction entry previously. That sums up how to set up a new notebook and get started doing reactions on your Open Inventory journal.